present. First of all, I must say welcome and that we're very grateful for your turnout, like Sirip had said earlier. Scaf, which means Sainis Cancer Awareness Foundation, is an inspiration from my sister that passed away in 2016 from breast cancer. And so that is what inspired the foundation. It's a family foundation, but I happen to be fronting it. Scaf is driven by the love to support and try to raise awareness in cancer. And the reason being because we have come to realize that a lot of women in the Gambia are suffering and are also dying on a daily space. And it's so sad, and we realize that there need to be awareness because that's the main cause for the deaths. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. A lot of people have got misconception around it, and so this is the mission for Scaf. And until the whole of the Gambia is aware of cancer, then Scaf's mission will be yes. And so this is the main reason why Scaf was born. And also, in this upcoming event, we are partnering with Your Change for a Change, who is also a foundation for health that have been in existence for a long time, but we have our colleagues here who will be giving you more background of who they are and what they do. And also, I would like to thank my sponsors for believing in what we're doing. Like I said, Scaf is quite new, and it's only 1 year this year. And there's not been much happening around it, but now that we're partnering with Your Change for a Change, we're ready to take it to a next level. And so going back to thanking my sponsors, we're very grateful for them believing in what we're doing, which is to help raise awareness in cancer. And so I would just like to mention their names, which I would start with Yosh, whom I have the owner sitting right here. Yosh is a restaurant that is going to be hosting our cancer reception where we will talk to people about cancer awareness. So we have a whole range of program running all through the month of October, which is starting with the press conference today. And at Yosh, we will have our reception. And I would like to say Astrid came on board because when I spoke to her, it was regarding the cancer, and she felt she's a woman and she wants to be a part of this, and she's been very helpful since from the onset of the planning. And we also have Bell Aqua, who's giving us water, and we would be served by them for the whole month of the campaign. Also, Kirfatu, our media partners, and they have been always supportive, and Fatu's very dear to me. Thank you so much. JFIN for giving us the t-shirts that we will be wearing for the whole campaign as well. Thank you so much. Elegance Magazine, they will be featuring us in their upcoming issue. And Discovery Tours, they've given us a bus that we will be using to go up provinces to do the cancer walk with the women out there. Last but not the least, giving my gratitude to Your Change for a Change. Like I mentioned them earlier, they've been very active in this since from the onset, and they thought it was a great thing to partner so that, coming together, we will be able to have a bigger platform and a bigger voice to raise the awareness we want to do. I also wouldn't close my opening remarks without thanking my family, who's also very supportive. Like I said, it's a family foundation, and they're all doing their bit, and I'm very grateful that we have set this up, because there's so much to be done in terms of cancer, and this is where we're embarking on. So thank you so much.
Good morning to you all. I am Dr. Kitabu Jame from the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital in Banjul. I'm currently serving as a medical officer in the Department of Pediatrics. However, I've served through the departments of internal medicine, surgery, obstetrics and gynecology, and now pediatrics. She has mentioned something that is very touching, the story about her sister dying of cancer in 2016. The reality about cancer is when you are in our communities or when you are in our homes, you don't get to have a clear picture of what is going on outside, unless a family member has cancer or you have some friends that have cancer. At the FSTH, every Thursday, there is a cancer clinic. Women with breast cancer, or there's a breast clinic, and women with breast conditions come to the breast clinic and they're examined, evaluated, and some are found out or found to have cancer. What happens is that when women present with their conditions, some come with things like breast abscesses, some simple lumps in the breast like fibroadenomas, different types of lesions. But at times, or very commonly nowadays, we are seeing a rise in the incidence of breast cancer. Some years ago, or a few years ago, I met a woman in the clinic who had breast cancer and had it treated for, because the mainstay of treatment of breast cancer all around the world is surgery. She had her breast removed, but when she had the breast removed, some time later, the cancer recurred, what we call local regional recurrence. It's like the cancer was there, was removed, but it came back again. When I saw this, I felt something. I said to myself, what's the problem? What happened? Because if the treatment was done, chemotherapy provided, why did it have to recur? So that inspired me to do a study on breast cancer in our women here in the Gambia. With regards to breast cancer itself, it's a condition which is an abnormal growth of the breast tissue. Histologically, the two forms are explained or are defined. We have the interductal type, we have the interlobular type, with other subtypes also. And also there are stages of breast cancer. We can have up to 4 stages, stage 1, 2, 3, up to 4. And a challenge we have here in the Gambia is late presentation of patients. Most patients that present to the hospitals come in stage 3 and stage 4. So when they come in such stages, all that can be done is just to go to theater, do surgery, and provide the chemo and hope for the best. Yes. And sometimes some come at such a stage wherein even to do surgery may be of no use. Just manage them palliatively till they pass away. That is what happens. So as such, I did this study about breast cancer. And then, in addition to doing that study, I did a lot of literature review, comparing, going through studies that were done in the sub-region, in the US, in other parts of the world. And in doing that research, I found out that late presentation happens to be a common feature in our sub-region here. That is one, a challenge for the Gambia. Something else I found out during the literature review was that people are not that educated about breast cancer. Let's say when you ask people on the street, what do you know about breast cancer? They cannot tell you anything. And this is the greatest challenge we have now today, which is education, and which is something Senis Cancer's Awareness Foundation is hoping to address, and which is something the YCFAC has been working on for a couple of years now. Because as we speak, the month of October is the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I remember just last year we had a few sessions around some schools in the Gambia talking to students about breast cancer. That was just with the YCFAC. But this year, like she mentioned, we are going also a step forward, collaborating with her to see how best we can get to the masses, get to the people, and inform them about breast cancer. So this study I conducted in the EFSTH was a retrospective study which covered a period of 2 years, 6 months, going into the files of patients who received mastectomy at the EFSTH. When it comes to breast cancer, the treatment I mentioned is mainly surgery. We have two forms: breast conservation surgery, wherein part of the breast or wherein the cancer is removed, and then the remaining part is left there, or mastectomy, wherein the entire breast is removed. And for us, over 75% of the patients received complete mastectomy, wherein the entire breast was removed. So the study focused on all the patients that received mastectomy for that 2 year, 6 months period. And the findings were interesting, yes, because what happened when I got the findings of the study, presented it to the medical board over there, and even this year, I was lucky to present the study during the West African College of Surgeons conference, and that was held here in Banjul. Yes. When it came to the demographic distribution of breast cancer, or the patients that had breast cancer and ended up having mastectomy, 17.9% of the patients were in their third decade of life. That is between the ages of 21 to 30. This is something that is shocking, something that is alarming, something that is scary. Because when we take a look at the risk factors of breast cancer, we say age is one. We say nulliparity is one, women that do not have children. We say early menarche, late menopause, prolonged exposure to the female hormone is another risk factor. But nulliparity and also genetics, because breast cancer can run in families. But when you take a look at this demographic finding, age 21 to 30, they are not old people, they are very young people. If that accounts for more than 19% of the patients that have breast cancer going on to receive mastectomy, it's something we should all be careful about. Something that should ring bells, something that should all get us worried and standing up to make sure we do something about breast cancer in our country. And something else that we also discovered was like more than 25%, which was the greater bulk, were in their fourth decade of life, 41 to 50 years of age. From the information we obtained from the National Cancer Register of the Gambia, which was opened in 1987. Yes, 1987. There was a study done around 2010 which showed that most of our patients had breast cancer after the age of 40. So this went in line with that, but however, still the number was there. More than 25% of the patients had developed breast cancer between the ages of 41 and 50. So this is all young age. If you are 41 to 50 years old, you develop breast cancer, you have mastectomy, you start having complications with breast cancer, you die young, your life expectancy isn't that very great. So that is also something scary and a cause for concern. Yes. 82% were married. That is something normal. Most Gambian women get married, so that is acceptable. However, the study that was done by the National Cancer Registry showed that the prevalence of the cancer among the tribes should be more common in the Mandinka, going to the Fula, going to the Wolof. That is, when you take a look at our population, that is how we are more than each other. Mandinkas are number one, then you go to the Fulas, then the Wolofs. But the study I conducted showed the Fulas had the highest incidence of those having cancer, then having to require mastectomy, which is the removal of their breast, and then followed by the Jola tribe. But the study also that was done by the Cancer Registry indicated that early onset cancer was more common in the Jola tribe. So this was something also of interest. So 28.6% in my study showed the women were all nulliparous, did not have children. About 30%, we can say, were people who never had children. And 46.4% had less than 3 children. So this was still within the range of people that did not have a lot of children. And however, there was this very interesting finding. If they say not having children is a risk factor, there was a particular woman who had 12 children and still had cancer. So maybe that could be linked to the genes or genetics associated with breast cancer. So yes, you may not have those other risk factors, but maybe if you have the gene, you could still go on to develop breast cancer. So these are all things or intricate things one should understand around the condition. Because in medicine we have this saying, never say never, never say always, because anything can happen. Yes. So almost half the patients presented with metastatic symptoms. Like I mentioned, most of our patients present very late to hospitals in the Gambia. So when we say metastatic symptoms, that is like the breast cancer is no longer confined to the breast. It has moved to the lymph nodes, it has moved to the lungs, it has gone to the bones. So when you come with something like that, the only thing you may need is chemotherapy because you have cancer cells already in your bones. So even if they cut off that breast or cut off that lump, it's of no use. It's already too late. And over 46% of the patients presented like that to the hospital. So this is something that is also very scary for us as doctors, and that is something that should be scary for everybody in the general population. 17.9% of the patients presented with a painful swelling. Most of the times when people feel something in their breast or feel something that is of something not causing pain, they feel okay, it's not painful, it's not anything, it's just there. But be mindful, this is just 17.9% that presented with a painful swelling. What happened to the rest? They all presented with something. So that is something we should be concerned about. Though breast cancer can present in many ways. It can present as a painless lump, it can present as a painful lump, it can present with just discharge from the nipple, it can present with just dimpling on the skin of the breast, it can just present as changes in the shape of the breast. So in multiple ways. That's why it is advised that anytime a woman sees something abnormal with her breast, the first thing you do is to visit your nearest facility, then you'll be assessed and evaluated. If you need a referral to the tertiary facilities, then you'll be referred to the tertiary facilities. So that is something important we all do. So these are just basis of just a few points from the research I conducted, which I felt should be shared with the general public. It is a 49-page long research. There's a long PowerPoint presentation for it too. Yes, so that is that about that. So maybe
love this country. Me, being born in Switzerland, in a very nice family, in a very nice country, I always had the feeling that I have to come back to the Gambia every year. So we also started to educate children in the Gambia. This was very important for me because education is one of the most topic that is actually also a success for a nation. And since our son is a nurse, everything that concerns with health, I'm really supporting as much as I can. So this is actually the reason why when I was talking with Jaus, I said, whatever I can.
Breast cancer. Sunjukura. Breast cancer, do I call you a bridge to pass or another obstacle? Si sama xalaat dama fogoon ne man nañ laa dàq nga dem waaye musuma foog ne dinga rey sama ay yaay defanteeg sama ay mag mel ni bota si cinu Afrika. Sunjukura ka musol dom comme mburo ni keke aka musol fa comme subo mi yàlla ko mburo baka. Yaa ngi tax ay mbokk di bayante ci dara yaa ngi tax jigéen di mere ko defu dara. Whenever I hear your name, I always remember that the maggots will one day come to feast. Breast cancer amul benn yërmande ci doomu aadama te duy àtte ci yoon. Sunjukura ma hakkiloo soto amalon fay kodoo soto fay maa soto amalon fay dingol soto fay maa soto aka musola sunjolta komi atalami. Breast cancer, it's too bad that you don't love or care, but I want to speak out before I suffocate on my silence. This chemo took the faith of so many women. Breast cancer has no justice, no sympathy for its host. Sunjukura ka hadama dingolta, aka mola ba malfa and aka kewola musoluta. Deglu len ma, alila moy, listen. Sama jigéen ñaa ngi daw mel ni ay ganaar ñu rite ca biir àll ba mbàyyi nag may dégg ñi mel ni ay gerte ñu saaf si biir diwlin mbàyyi nag may dégg ñu ne toog fële naan bopp sedd. Women, jigéen ñi mu solu su ngeen demee ba gisu leen ku mën a nekk seen jàmbaar kon nekk leen seen jàmbaaru bopp. Man ngeen ko daan xeex leen pour daan ko. Strive to be yourself, strive to fight for yourself. Be the believer of your strengths, be the achiever of your ambitions.
Very emotional, very lyrical, and the message is very clear. So now we move on to the next speaker, and that's Dr. Bella Jallo, and he'll be speaking to us about your change for a change.
I am the country director of Your Change for a Change, Team Gambia. The reason why we are seated today is as a result of our need to talk on this important issue that is affecting everybody, which is the breast cancer month, which was put aside by WHO to raise awareness basically on breast cancer. To say brief on YCFAC, which stands for Your Change for a Change, it was an organization that was founded in 2011 by a few Gambians who travel abroad and decided to come together to put small changes that they normally have to send back to the Gambia to do some activities within the communities. When they started, they thought that it would be wise to start in the area of health because many people then, especially malaria, was really killing many people. That is how the name came about, and that is how it started. But now it have gone beyond only malaria or infectious disease, and it have gone beyond the monetary aspect. So basically, the change have now changed from the money you used to bring on board, but any change you have in your life. In my capacity, I was a medical student. Now I'm a doctor. So that change I have in my life is what I'm gonna share with the people, and that is what I'm gonna impact change in the lives of people. So if you are somebody who also have change in your life, whether in the form of monetary aspect or in the form of professionalism, you are always welcome on board to come and effect that change within the community. And we've realized that most of the communities, especially the Combo area, have been privileged to have most of these facilities around. But we were more focused in the areas where people and health services were really needed, which is the rural communities. And since the inception of YCFAC, we've been focusing more of the peripheries, though once in a while we have activities down here. When we met Yaos, just on a, how do I put it, it was just something that was meant to be. Because he never planned it, I never planned it. Two people at two different locations talking on the same things. These are things that only God works in his ways. So we came together and it was a perfect combination. Then here we are today. And this is just the beginning, I promise. The main idea why we are here is to put our little effort that we are putting, that we've been doing on the side to have a bigger impact. Because what we've realized in the Gambia is we have so many associations that are doing almost the same thing. Why not we put all those things together and have a very big, strong team, than rather everybody doing your little things on the side. So that is one thing that I'm really glad that we've cleared with Scaf. And as we've said, Your Change for a Change have been doing this in the past. And Scaf, this is the 1-year anniversary. So we are putting our heads together so that at the end of the day, we all benefit from this, because we are doing this not for some other people that are going to benefit from this service, but we are doing it to ourselves. Because breast cancer is something that as long as you are living, you are at risk of having it. Because it's the most deadliest cancer. In fact, it's the leading deadly cancer after lung cancer. And if you look at the statistics in female, it is the leading form of cancer in women. So that being the case, whether you have family risk factor, you don't have family risk factor, or some of those factors that Dr. Kitabe mentioned, you are at increased risk. The fact that you are a female, gender itself is a risk factor. So, and if you look at the populations now, most of the demographic will show you have more female than male. So all these are factors, indicators that are showing that we don't have to sit until the disease sets in, then we start working on it. So this is basically what YCFAC and Scaf intend to do. And during the course of the month, we will be having series of activities all geared towards increasing the level of awareness. That is the level we are at now. At some point in time, we will take it to the next level, because we know government cannot do it alone. and there is a need for people themselves to get up and take the things in their own hand and support some of these institutions. Like he mentioned, EFSTH is providing it, but apart from EFSTH, if you live in Basse, how lucky are you to have access to these facilities? So, and how many people will be able to leave Basse to come to Banjul to have these services? So you realize that all these things are things in the pipeline that we hope one day together we will together achieve as people, as a nation, and then the numbers will start giving us the good results. This statistic that Dr. Kirabu mentioned here, we want them to go down. And this cannot be done without the participation of the media. Nowadays, everybody is on Facebook, on WhatsApp, but at times we are always also on TV, watching TV. So that is why we deemed it necessary that the media should also take part in this, because this is a cause, this is a fight in which everybody is involved, whether directly or indirectly, whether you are at the focal point or you are behind the scene, but you have to do something. So this is basically what I want to say, and I applaud all of you for taking the little time you have with your busy schedule to come to this press conference. I thank you all. Thank you very much for coming out.
The definition of breast cancer. Cells usually grow uncontrollably. So the first thing they form is a lump, a mass in the breast. So this is one important presentation of breast cancer, which is a mass in the lump, a mass in the breast, a breast lump. However, it doesn't stop at presenting as a lump. That lump can be in two forms. It can be a painless lump, it can be a painful lump. So pain in the breast can be one problem. The second problem. Another clinical feature or presentation or symptom of breast cancer can be discharge from the nipple. Let's say somebody who's not breastfeeding should not ideally have any discharge coming from the nipple. So, but if a woman sits and sees any bloody discharge or any form of discharge coming from the breast, it could be there's a pathology going on in the breast. So that's another presentation. Changes in the contour of the breast. When you realize that once you stand in front of a mirror, there are changes in the shape of your breast, that indicates there's something ongoing. That is also another sign or symptom. That is also another clinical presentation of breast cancer. Also, dimpling of the skin. When you realize that my skin was smooth and round and normal, but now I see something going on, a form of puckering, something pulling the skin inside, that is also another clinical feature. So basically, these are the main features, clinical features of cancer in the breast. That is when it is just localized in the breast. However, when it goes beyond the breast, it can present in other forms or in other ways. You could feel a mass or a lump in your armpit here when it has metastasized to your lymph nodes. That is axillary lymphadenopathy. Also, you can have problems in your lungs. You can be coughing, you could be having breathing problems. That is when it has gone to your lungs. You could be having bone pain also. That is when it has gone to your bones. So it can be just localized to your breast and presenting with the lumps and other features I've mentioned, or it can go to other parts of your body and present with those other symptoms. Yes.
Like, sorry, can I ask? Like, what causes it? Like, sometimes you say, okay, maybe within this or what?
Yes. There isn't a specific cause for breast cancer. There are risk factors. That is what we mentioned. The risk factors to developing breast cancer. One he mentioned, being female, is a risk factor to developing breast cancer. But it didn't just stop with women. Men can also have breast cancer. Because there was a patient I discovered during my study, was a man and had his breast removed because he had problems with the breast. A man. Yes. So being female is a risk factor, but it's not just limited to females. So a man can have it. Chief, you were chatting with the lady that you're a man, you shouldn't be here. I was enjoying your chat. Yes. So a man can have breast cancer. Yes, so but other risk factors include being female, nulliparity, a woman that has never had children. Yes, it's another important risk factor. Early menarche, late menopause. For somebody who has started seeing the periods very early, let's say by 9, 10 you start seeing your periods, and you don't stop seeing your periods till you're age 50 plus. That is overexposure or too much exposure to the female hormone. It's another risk factor to developing breast cancer. Okay, family. The BRCA gene can run in the families, so breast cancer gene. So that is also another risk factor to developing breast cancer. So there are multiple risk factors, but there isn't a specific cause to say, okay, this is the exact cause of breast cancer. Yes.
All right. Good day. I am Omar Bijalo
Yes.
from the QTV.
Yes.
I have a question directed to Mr. Jabba again.
Yes.
And the question is, according to your statement, you did say that according to the study conducted,
Yes.
the full ethnicity happened to be the highest number of cancer recorded in your study.
Yes.
I want to know what actually motivated you to base your study on tribal line, and also what do you, according to your study, was there anything that you realized that the fuller women does that other tribes are not doing that caused them to be the highest ethnicity that come to be the victim of this harassment?
All right. Good question. But let me rephrase. I didn't say that exactly. I said the study found out or showed that the women that received the mastectomy in the FST that had their breast removed, the fuller ethnicity accounted for the majority. That is what I mentioned. Yes. The number was actually 39% of the patients that had the mastectomy done for them were fuller. Yes. So this could be due to many things. It could be due to late presentation, because I told you people present late to the hospitals. Maybe they have the problems, they have the lumps, but they're not worried about it. Anything could be the cause. Yes. And about the study mentioning tribes, this is under demographics, because it's important to see the demographic distribution of disease in our societies and our communities. That is why we just put that as part of the study. That was all. It wasn't based or targeted towards getting any tribe. Yes. It was just to know the demographic distribution of the disease in the population. Yes. Okay.
My question is, like, we have a lot of women who are suffering from breast cancer, but they are not ready to come out in public and share their stories. So what are the efforts that you're going to make to encourage them to speak out? Those victims.
Victims. That's for Dr. Kirabo again. Okay, that's a public health issue or a community-based issue. Because what happens between the doctor and the patient, there is this doctor-patient relationship. Anything that is with the patient is confidential. So whether the patient wants to go out to the community and share her story, that is up to the patient. The doctor cannot tell the patient, go and share your story with the people. Like somebody has HIV, you cannot go to this town and tell the people, I have HIV, I have HIV. That is out of it. So if somebody has breast cancer, you can advise when you go home, make sure family knows about the condition. Because it's important, the patient is going to be coming to the hospital for chemotherapy or other forms of management. So it's important the family is briefed adequately about her condition. But to go out to the community and share their problems, that is not something that is very advisable or recommended. It is just up to the person. Yes, up to the person. Yes.
So, if I may come in, okay, so thank you for your question. And this was one of the questions that the doctors gave me when I started talking to them about raising funds towards cancer. And so they said this would be the hardest task I would come across, because they find it hard to make people talk about it. And like I said earlier during my speech about the taboos and misconceptions, these are some of the things, because, you know, out here, it is believed that cancer is something to do with, or has got something to do with witchcraft, or it's normal because as a breastfeeding mother, they believe or they think it's normal for the breast to be swollen during breastfeeding when baby burp on the mom's nipple. So how I did during my research was to tell this woman that I was coming from a family of a victim. Yeah, so my sister passed away, and when I say this, they more relaxed to talk to me, because I did field researches last year when I was just starting. And so this is what I have been using to talk to them. And as woman to woman, they also feel that I'm not a doctor, so they're more comfortable talking to me. And this is also another way I'm going to use in talking and trying to make them stop hiding away from the public because of cancer. That it is normal, that it's, I say normal because it's like an illness that is like any other illness, but on a more serious note, because when it comes to the Gambia, unfortunately, we don't have cancer treatments. And so this could be very heartbroken, having this amount of people that are dying from it. And, you know, it's a big challenge. Thank you.
And Dr. Jalto, is there anything that you do, any efforts to change this trend to get people to
Yes, thank you for that wonderful question.
Yeah.
What I would want to add on this is, if you look at the reason why some of them are hiding out, there are many factors, but one of the leading factors is that they don't know much about the disease. And if you don't know about the disease, most of the time you are scared. But the more you know about the disease, the better you are prepared to answer the questions that people always ask you. So this is one platform like we are doing right now. This is kind of trying to teach the people what are the things they need to do. They need to learn about the disease. Because here one thing, because promotion is very high in some other diseases like malaria. Now anyone you touch across the street to ask them about malaria, they will tell you. Because there is so much into malaria. This is what we want for breast cancer. By the time we start talking about it, it becomes normal. Because by the time only few people talk about it, it is rare. But when everybody is talking about it, it becomes popular. So this is what we are trying to do. We are just beginning. So we want people to start learning about breast cancer. Take it as a personal assignment to learn about it. At the same time, we will do our part as health practitioners, as inspirational speakers, and people who are also affected from families that are affected, like Yao is doing, to put all these pieces together, then we will have a clear picture of the whole thing.
Yes.
So this is one aspect that we will.
Well, let me come in also. I think the challenge is people presenting to the facilities on time. You know, I mentioned our biggest problem is late. You can feel a mass in your breast, you can feel a lump in your breast, you can have some discharge. The first thing you do is not about just going to the community and explaining yourself. First thing you do is visit a facility so that we know what is going on exactly with the breast. Okay, because when the people come to the hospitals, they are seen, they are examined, some histological samples are taken, sent to the lab, confirm if it is cancer or not. This is what happens. And during my study, I found out that most of the people who had confirmed breast cancer, surgery was done for them within 30 days of confirmation. And this is something which is even good for the Gambia. So that is something. So people shouldn't necessarily be scared. Once you feel a mass or you feel changes, you see something wrong with your breast, that is not just you. If you see it with a friend, with a sister, with a family member, anybody, first thing to tell them is visit the facility, let them check you out. So maybe after that, they could come and discuss with the people anything that was done for them. Yes. But the first thing is early presentation, because late presentation is a problem. I mentioned close to 50% of our patients come with metastatic symptoms. And all you can do for somebody with something like that is just chemotherapy and palliative management. That's all. Yes, even the surgery is of no use. Yes.
So we'll take one more question, just the last one, if there is any. Aware somebody wants to do one-on-one with your friends. So if there is no question.
Today with this press conference, and then the next one would be next week, the 13th, and that will be in a form of a cocktail reception. And then we will be going up provinces to Kafuta. Like I said, our mission at Scaf is to make sure everyone in the Gambia is aware of cancer. And so we're going to Kafuta this time to talk to the women out there, have a cancer walk, and be able to raise awareness. And last but not the least would be at the Gambia College, where we would go have a symposium with female students and men and about cancer.
Okay, guys, we have the information, and I will say with anyone who wants the information based on what we have said here about the foundation. So thank you very much for coming.
Okay. Also, before we close, I would like to say a very big thank you to my donors. I am very lucky to have extremely phenomenal women around me and very supportive. And you might be wondering, what are those pink bars sitting on the table? These are local made soaps in the Gambia by a woman called Anna Jaju. And Anna is also a friend and a supporter, and we've been working together. And she decided to support us by giving us a lot of soaps to raise funds, to sell and raise funds towards the Cancer Foundation. So Anna, thank you so much right there. And thank you to all of you for making this a success.
Yao, we've seen that you are undergoing a campaign that is based on breast cancer. And as a female, we want to know what are the challenges that you've come across?
So far, we started last year to start with. And then what I wanted to do initially was to raise funds from my house at an event. And when I went to see the doctors to talk to them about that, then they said there was nothing in terms of cancer. And this was quite shocking for me. And they said that's the reaction they wanted to see. So they persuaded me to put the foundation up, and then I had to go back home and talk to my parents and really think about it, because as you know, I have an artistic background. I'm a fashion designer, and so that was the first challenge for me to think or to take it up as a foundation. Now, when I made up my mind that I would do it, like I said earlier during my presentation, the biggest challenge that the doctor said to me was that in order to talk to the woman, it's going to be very, very difficult. And like I said, I'm not trying to do medical intervention. I am a fashion designer, and so I'm just using my sister's death to talk to people and try to make a change. And so this is where I come through. And so with that being the case, the challenge is a bit getting better as I go. So hopefully should be able to be successful in terms of our mission.
So it's like your sister's death inspired you to...
That is very true, yes.
Okay.
Yes. To set up the foundation.
To set up the foundation.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what are your aims to achieve in this campaign?
Great. So what we want to do at Scaf is to make sure that Gambia is aware of cancer. And when we talk Gambia, I'm not only looking at the urban area. We're talking about the whole of the Gambia from Katong to Koina. And so what we are going to do is to set up an army of young people, boys and girls that are interested in helping or that are interested in medical enlightenment. And so we're going to train with the doctors. We will have the doctors to train the team to be able to do self-examination, to be able to put precautions in front of them as a way of life. Because that's another thing why I think the cancer is growing so fast, because of our way of life. For example, we love to eat too much oil. We love to eat too much meat. We love to eat too much sugar. We love to eat too much salt. You know, all this stuff you need to get in. And this is what brings in illnesses. You know, like they say, your health is your wealth. So we need to be very careful as to how we do things. You know, we have too much excess of smoking going on. So anything that you do that is too much always falls back. So far in my research, these are the things that I find out, and then this is what I'm going to use in order to help the women and men in general.
You mentioned something like engaging young boys and girls who are interested. Is it that the organization is open for everyone, or it is restricted?
No, the organization is open for everyone. As you know, it's a charity organization. It's a non-profit organization. So what our drive is to raise the awareness. And we're looking for volunteers. And so this is how these young people will come in. So far, we've been having interest, and which is really good. I'm very grateful for that. But it's open to everyone. Anyone that wants to be part of it is welcome.
Where are you getting funds?
At the moment, we're not getting any funds yet. We started last year, and I've been taking it on a very slow move because I need to know what I am doing. And so this year is going to be the first time, which is happening next week at the cancer reception, where we're going to ask people to donate. And so we will raise funds towards, number one priority is to help the breast care clinic in the Gambia at the Banjo Hospital to refurbish it, and also to set up a structure, like I'm telling you, with the volunteers, so that we would be able to carry out our mission.